systems very early in the morning here in the UK. So what I'm doing today is we've got a Proxmox cluster here, and we've got a Galera cluster on here that we're basically migrating the whole thing over to Wolfscale, and we're doing it an easier way. So I've set up Wolfscale 1, which is the first node of our Wolfscale. I've also got our Wolf proxy, which used to be the max scale that used to talk to the Galera cluster. So the Galera cluster has the data on it, and this is an empty MySQL database. So what I've done is I've stopped the Galera cluster, and what I'm doing now is I've installed MariaDB on here, 11.8, which is good, which comes with Debian 13. And I've just changed to the varliv MySQL. Now what I can do here is I can actually just scp root at 50 var with MySQL start. So what I can do here is I can actually just copy the data from the old Galera cluster. It should, if I got the password right. So what it should do, I didn't get the password right. This is not a huge database, and in fact, we do have another Wolfscale cluster on this Proxmox cluster. I'm hoping it's not disabled. I might have to go and enable it. Oh, that's really tedious, isn't it? Let me just try again. They're all on the local network. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is go to DB1 here and go to etc sshd. It's perfectly safe to do this. Normally, we don't have them with root logins. So if we go nano, so this is, you can ignore this bit. I'm just enabling it so that I can actually log into the server and pull the files. Not that one, but it doesn't really matter because this is on a local networking anyway. So I'm just editing SSH to allow it to, so I can log into the thing and pull those files really easy. I can ignore this bit. If I was any good at video editing, I'd edit it out. Okay, back to Wolfscale 1. So let's try that again. There you go. Okay, it's just pulling everything across. Now you can, with the other Wolfscale cluster on here, to test it, we pulled all the data off of here in a MySQL dump and then dumped it straight on the leader. And then, if you don't know what Wolfscale is, while we're going, if you go to wolfscale.org, this is the website for Wolfscale, and it basically allows us to cluster servers, and basically you set up a MariaDB database on each server separately. They're not in any kind of normal cluster. You install Wolfscale over the top, and then you point Wolf proxy or anything you like at the proxy. So you don't actually point them directly to the database. You point them to so I don't know if there's a diagram here I can show you how it works. One of these has got a diagram in it. No. Okay, anyway, have a good read through the old website first, because there's quite a lot of really interesting information on the technology and how we do things, because it's quite different from Galera cluster. So I'm going to go back to here. Where am I going? Okay, so I've got the data across. Now let's start the database. So this is just a systemctl status MySQL. So I've now migrated to a brand. So I basically pulled all the data off. And you notice complaining about column store, because when we set up the Galera cluster, somebody installed column store in it. I have no idea why, but we uninstalled it because none of these machines have got much RAM or anything. And column store needs a lot of system resources. Anyway, Wolfscale 1 is now set up. So what I'm going to do to set up Wolfscale 2 and 3, because I will need one on every node of the Proxmox cluster. There's 3 nodes there. So what I can do now is simply we're going to shut this down and then shut down that, and I'm just going to clone it onto Wolfstack 2 and another one on Wolfstack 3, and that will be Wolfstack. So this is one of the good things about Proxmox. If you've never used Proxmox, it's worth doing. So I'm going to clone that. Target node will be Wolfstack 2, so the next server along, and we're going to call this Wolfstack. We're going to call this, Wolfscale 2. Everything's got wolf in it, so same as source. Yeah, that's correct. It should be on the Ceph cluster. Resource pool, so clone that. So what we're doing now is I'll clone that across to, then there it goes. So you'll see it there, it goes 115, so this is 116. So you see that Wolfscale, I do apologise for the loom thing has appeared here. It used to be down the bottom, which was much more convenient. I used to be able to move it around, but they've now changed that. I don't know why. Please, loom, fix it. I don't know why I can't move it. That's really tedious, isn't it? Bad software design. Okay, so that's now logged. So that's going to Wolfscale 2 now. And you can see if I look at summary, nothing's happening yet. Okay. Now, again, we use really small database servers. It's really efficient. So I cannot move that. Okay, so Wolfscale 2 is being copied now. Wolfscale 1, as you can see, is still online, but that doesn't matter. We're not doing anything with it. So Wolfscale 2 is coming up. Come on, Wolfscale 2, hurry up. Okay, I'm going to pause this and come back to you once so I'm going to basically duplicate it across to the different nodes. And then I'll show you how I change the setup before we start them to make sure they don't all run into each other and there's not all kinds of network problems. Because with Proxmox, if you clone, it really means cloning. So I'll be back very shortly. And I'm back. Okay, so what I've done is I've cloned Wolfscale 1 and I've just restarted it because we can have that one online. So now I'm going to go to Wolfscale 2 and I'm going to edit the network. Now, I have a pretty simple network schema. Everything's local network. We never publish databases out. And I also clear the MAC address so that Proxmox will generate a new MAC address. So that's all good. So that's all ready to go at Wolfscale 2. So we'll bring that one up. And then I'm going to do the same with Wolfscale 3. So what I'm doing is basically setting up the network because they are clones. And this is actually 117/24. Again, clear the MAC address. If you get two things on the same MAC address on different, oh my God. You get all kinds of network weirdness where they look like they're working, but are they working? No. Okay. So here comes Wolfscale 3 up. Now, they are actually identical copies of each other, which is what we need for a Wolfscale cluster. But they are separate database servers. So let's just log into Wolfscale 3. If I can remember the password, which I just made up. Oh, it's very early in the morning, so I should use simple passwords on local networks, but I don't. Yes, okay. System. Okay. So we just check this is a plain MySQL server. Ignore the column store thing. This doesn't have column store installed at all. And step 2. All working. Okay, so now I've got 3 copies of the same server, which just has MariaDB server on it, 11.4, because we need vector databases, and that's all it has on it. Very, very simple. Now, what we're going to do is install the Wolfscale proxy. So I go to the Wolfscale website and go to Quick Start there, and I scroll down and get that link there. Let's copy that. Just a copy button to that. Say, okay, so now we're going to go back to each one. Now let's set the first one up. Oh, it hasn't got curl installed. Okay. Let's install those 2 boys. Yeah, because it's in a container, they don't come with curl installed, which is a bit crazy, to be fair, I've got to say. Anyway, so we just wait for it to do this. So what's happening now is we're running the install script, and that installs all the things that you need to run Wolfscale. All the dependencies, everything, and then it installs Rust, and then it compiles Wolfscale onto your platform. Now, the reason we do that is because we know that it's going to be 1,000,000% compatible with your platform because the code's compiled into Rust. So here goes, installing Rust. So we installed everything we need, and that's automated, runs on Fedora, Red Hat, IBM Power. Did I tell you it runs on IBM Power? We love IBM Power servers. They're really cool. They're RISC-based. But because we tend to write most of our stuff in Rust, everything kind of runs on everything. Because Rust is really cool for that. So here he goes. So it's now compiling and building the Wolfscale proxy. So the way this will work is that we will talk not to MySQL, the MariaDB server directly, but through Wolfscale, and Wolfscale then replicates everything across to the other nodes in the Wolfscale cluster. So we've got 115, 116, and 117, I think. And I know what the IP address is because that's why I chose that schema. When I'm doing a local network, the container name or the VM name, node number is what we use as the IP address. It's really simple. Don't forget to clear out the MAC addresses if you're going to clone and replicate. Otherwise, you will get network weirdness like you've never understood. Like things will work, but then suddenly one of them will go, "Oh, I can't find. I don't feel well," and it all gets very disconnected. And then you'll restart everything. It'll all start working. It's a horrible, horrible thing if you've got the same MAC address on two containers. I'm just throwing that in there and talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, oh no, I need this bit. So it's now actually compiling Wolfscale, having compiled all these libraries and stuff that we use. And what it'll do now is it'll go into a setup script. So we literally very easily set it up with the setup script. And then we do that for all three of them. And then basically that's it. It's up and running. If you've got an empty, so I've had an extra stage there because I'm migrating from an old Galera cluster. But if you were just setting up a blank one, like a new one, you just set up three container or three servers. They could be bare metal. You can set up 3 bare metal servers if you want to. But obviously, avoid if you're gonna just avoid having MySQL or MariaDB or any kind of database open to the internet's abuse, because literally they will get in there and they will corrupt things. Anyway, so that's compiling. Don't worry that it takes a bit of time for it to do that. Have a cup of tea. It's early in the morning. I should have a coffee by now, but the cafe downstairs, I'm in my office in Watford, and the cafe downstairs isn't open, so I'm just waffling. Okay, so here we go. Node ID Wolfscale 1. So we can leave that as it is. Bind address, leave that as it is. Is this the first? Now, this is very important. Yes, it is the first node in the cluster. MariaDB close. Yes. Local. Yes. Everything the same. User database user. I didn't set the database user up. Okay, actually, no, I did. It's a different database user. Make sure you do your password right. There's the API port. Everything the same. So the proxy port is 8007. So now we're going to talk to it. So that one's set up. Okay, so now I need to do the same thing on the others. But let's go. So if we go to Wolfctl list servers, you'll see there's only one server right now. In fact, this connection refused because there's only one server. Yeah, it's not running. Wolfscale. Is the service running? No. Okay. Okay, I won't start it, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the other two up. No, I can start it. No, I'm going to set the other two up first and then start all three at once. Now, you can do this with 2 nodes, okay, but obviously it's high availability, but it's not brilliant. You're better having 3 nodes minimum, okay, but unlike something like Galera or Proxmox or any of those, it doesn't use a quorum system, so you don't have to have an even number of nodes. An odd number of nodes. So there's no voting in this. Basically, the way the cluster works is it looks at so this is the leader at the moment, but if the leader goes down, then the second one along, so Wolfscale 2 will automatically say, oh, Wolfscale 2 is there, he's the leader, and they all know that. So there's no messing around with this quorum thing. We don't get split brain, which is a horrendous thing to have to deal with if you've got half the rights have been written to one bit of the database and half to the other. So we don't have to deal with any of that. So I'm going to go to Wolfscale 2 now. Let's do a node, and then we'll bring it up when we're ready. So I'm going to paste in my string that I got from the website. Same thing again. Yeah. I'll just do sudo as well, but I don't think it's going to need it. But we'll. So now we can run it. Again, it's real simple install. You just don't really have to do anything. And it doesn't start. I thought it started Wolfscale automatically, and I'm glad it doesn't, because we kind of want to check everything before we start. Okay, let's get through this one. I'm going to make you wait. Sorry. And, you might say, well, why don't you ship just a pre-built release? And that's just because we like compiling it down to the operating system it's running on. So if it's running on Ubuntu, it'll compile down to that. If it's running on Fedora, it compiles down to that. Red Hat, IBM Power, it doesn't really matter. It'll compile itself down to whatever you're running on. And again, it just means you really have a tight, we want this to run as fast as possible. And so you really do have a tight connection. I'm sorry this is so boring if you're watching it, because we've got to do it another time. I think what I'll do is, once I've done this node, I'm going to pause it and do the other node, and then I'll take it through bringing it up. Just checking the configs before it bring it up, and then we'll have our Wolfscale cluster online. And the only reason it's taking so long is because I'm chattering away. Also, I will point out that these are tiny servers. Obviously, we've got a big Galera cluster that uses like 32 core monsters with like 192 gig of RAM, and they're pretty fast. But we haven't done a lot of throughput testing against Galera because you don't really need to. If you're using Wolfscale, and I'm not really sure of. The only way to really do it is to actually. In fact, we do have a Galera cluster on here, so we'll see how it performs once I've got everything done. So yeah. So I'm just waiting, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up a Wolf proxy load balancer, which is a bit weird because you install Nginx first, set that up, and then use Wolf proxy. But Wolf proxy, this is all open source, by the way. Please download it and try it. Give it a go. Run your databases on it. And just see how you get on. Do join our Discord, because that's where we discuss this kind of stuff. Not that there's any members yet. Oh, dear. Okay, sorry, I was just having a little type there while we're waiting for this. I only want to do this all the way through because I want to show you what happens with the node. When I set up it, it's basically the same thing, except you set up this one as the second node, and then you do the third node, and then we go check the configs just obviously before we start anything, because although sometimes we type passwords wrong or whatever. So okay, Wolfscale 2 correct. Okay, so we go with that. Bind address, that's fine. No. Okay, so hit enter. This is no. Peer address. Enter peer addresses to join the cluster. Okay, so we've got 10.0.10.115. Okay, now when you've done that, you hit enter. 10.0.10.116, that's me. 10.0.10.117. Okay, and enter again. Wolfscale connects, that's the same, Use my username and password. And then everything else you can leave as default. Okay. Oh, it ran it on that one. I think it's when it asked for the peer addresses, I didn't put it in, so I need to go and fix that, and I'll show you how to do that very shortly. I'm going to stop it, but if basically what happens is if it can't start, then it won't. So what I can do is I'm just going to stop this and grab some config and show you how that works, and we'll fix the first one, and then get that going and get the second one going. I'm just going to pause this. Okay, I'm back. So basically, this is the Wolf. So in /opt Wolfscale, you will find a TOML file, and I've just changed the username password so you can see it. So what I've done, because when I set it up, I didn't set up the peers right, so I just copy this. That's the bit of data that I need, and then I'm going to go and set it up in Wolfscale 1, and then Wolfscale 1 will start, and then we'll bring up Wolfscale 2. Now you see everything's been set up by the system. Okay, and then we're going to do some other stuff with MariaDB. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fix Wolfscale 1 by editing its config. Okay, and it's in opt Wolfscale, wolfscale.toml, which is the Rust file. Okay, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, that was fun. So that wasn't fun at all. So basically, I pulled up the Wolfscale cluster, but because we've already got an existing Wolfscale cluster, it detected the other one. So the important thing to do is that when you set up your, I think I've got a demo one somewhere. Let's have a look. So basically, you can diagnose what's going wrong. If you bring your cluster up, the first thing to do is to do wolfctl list servers, and you should see this. Now, wolfctl is our thing. Wolfctl help -1 help. You wouldn't think I wrote this, would you? Right, so there you go. There's some different things in there that are quite useful. So clear. So if I go to tail var log Wolfscale wolfscale.log. Okay, so you see that's only because I just upgraded them. So we just we discovered a little bug while I did that, because we've got two Wolfscale clusters on the same network and they both started discovering each other, which wasn't very helpful. That's now been fixed. The main thing is use different ports. So the other one's on 7654 and this one is on 7400. If you want to upgrade Wolfscale, you just run the install again and it'll just upgrade everything for you and keep it going. Yeah, so I'm not too surprised that that's happened. But if I do Wolfscale, you can see that my servers are all up and running. If you want to see what a server is doing, so let's go to the leader, which is Wolfscale 1 at the moment. And remember that leaders work, which is what I want. It's this one. Okay. Okay, you can actually watch it processing data. And this has been really fun to watch when we've been running. We ran that big, massive SQL dump yesterday of this database, in fact. But it's pretty much set up now. So keep an eye on your .toml files. Do join our Discord. If you get stuck, just talk to us. We can help you get it all sorted and running. It's not difficult to set up. Now what I've now got is a 3-node cluster. I can read and write to any of the nodes. We prefer to write to the leader, but we want to make it resilient. So we have a load balancer, called a Wolf proxy load balancer, which is over here, which I'll set up in the next video. And that basically points to that. The only thing you have to remember is that when you do talk to it, if I SQL u -p 8 hang on, I can't remember, is 807? Yeah, -p. So I'm just going to connect to it. Hang on. I think that's it. -p 8007. Is that it? It's not on 8007. Okay, I'm just going to stop it, go and look at the config and be back. Okay, so yeah, it was on 8007. So remember now, this is right important. Okay, you must, use the proxy. Do not read and write directly to the MariaDB database. So it's on at 8007 by default. And we don't bother turning on SSL because all our databases are local on local networks. So if you try and connect to it without SSL, like see, I've got minus SSL equals 0 there. You can try and connect to it with SSL without the keys set up. It's not going to work. Okay, so log in. Oh, can't spell. Hey, so show databases. There is that's it set up. So basically I've moved from a Galera cluster to a Wolfscale cluster. Pretty simply, all you do basically, to summarize the kind of steps you do, shut down the Galera cluster, create 3 new servers or containers, copy all the data and set one up, install MariaDB, copy all the data from the original Galera cluster, okay? And then clone that for two more times, change the networking, reset the address. Once that's all up and running, bring up all your MariaDB servers, check they're all running, and then do the install, the Wolf proxy setup, the Wolfscale, setup script. And then once you've done that, and you should see something like that. Now, if you don't, okay, and it doesn't look right or there's something wrong, just tail opt wolfscale.log, and it will tell you what's wrong. Okay. I'm always misspelling things. Oh, no, it's not opt, it's var log. It has a proper logging system anyway. So, and if you see something like that when you're starting them up, don't worry, it's just sorting it out. I won't show you it failing over right now. I just wanted to do an install, but you see how it's pretty straightforward. Obviously, if you're running a live Galera cluster and you want to migrate over, you can do it by doing a dump, and there's details of that at wolfscale.org. If you want to get in touch with us, please join the Discord. I'd love someone to join the Discord. I really would, honest governor. Or contact me on LinkedIn or anything like that. We're always open to talking to companies and people and devs about Wolfscale, Wolf proxy. We've got a thing called Code Wolf, which we use with some quite big clients to help them understand legacy code, millions of lines of code, and we can understand it in a way that you can't normally. But that's all at wolf.uk.com. You can see all some of the other projects that we've been working on. I hope that's really helpful. It was more painful than I thought it would be. Have a really good day.